Hi, welcome to my video on dating tips for teenage girls. Today we're going to cover 6 points on dating tips. Number 1, the good news and the bad news. Number 2, boundaries. Number 3, how to deal with aggressive boys. 4, how to deal with shy boys. 5, dealing with authority. 6, dealing with school. Alright, let's begin. First off, the most important advice is to go slow. Unfortunately, dating is a high-pressure situation, and you'll have a lot of pressure to go faster and faster through your dating cycles. You'll have pressure to get more and more physical and go more and more in emotional depth. But unfortunately, dating usually doesn't work out very well in the high school scene. If you're a teenager, the guy that you want to date today is very unlikely a guy you're going to even know a few years from now. The truth is, almost nobody marries their high school sweetheart. So going slowly will protect you from a lot of heartache. Another reason to go slow is that you're afraid. It's natural to be afraid. And you know what? The guy you're dating, he's also afraid. He's also afraid because he is inexperienced. He is incompetent. He is selfish. He's trying to think, what can I get out of this relationship? And you have the same problems. You don't know what you're doing. Well, that's the good news and the bad news, because the bad part is it's terrible to go through this. But the good news is every teenager does go through it, and every teenager grows up. And you get better and better at this the more experience you have. You will grow into a more confident person, a less fearful person, a person who's less selfish and more willing to give of yourself. But for now, it's going to be difficult. But if you go through these steps, you can avoid a lot of trouble. So let's go on. You need to respect your boundaries. What is a boundary? A boundary is any time you do something and it makes you feel uncomfortable. If kissing a guy makes you uncomfortable, then your body and your mind are telling you that there is a boundary that you've crossed. And this uncomfortable feeling is something you need to respect. Don't push past your boundaries. Instead, back up. You don't know what a boundary is usually until you go too far. Once you've gone too far, you need to respect this and pull back and say, okay, I'm not ready for kissing yet. Or maybe you've gone a lot farther. You're comfortable with kissing, but your boundary is about sex. You're not ready for sex. Well, that's fine. Respect that. And your date also needs to respect that. In the same way, your date has boundaries. You might want to go farther than your date does. And your date doesn't feel comfortable. You need to respect that. Give people time. That's why we say go slow. Give people time to adjust to the comfort level, the trust level that they have with each other. You need to consider the time aspect, the physical and emotional aspect of the relationship. You can develop a serious crush, and it can go into a very all-consuming crush on somebody. And unfortunately, most relationships are very imbalanced. One person likes the other person more than the person likes them. And that can create a lot of conflict. This is why you need to adjust yourself and respect. Not everything that feels good can be done at the right time. So respect this. Now, when you deal with aggressive boys, it can be wonderful dating aggressive boys, but they have a weakness and they tend to lack self-discipline. That's what the sports and the military are all about, teaching young men to have self-discipline. One thing you can do to help these young men, help your date have self-discipline, is learn to stand up for yourself. Learn to assert yourself. Tell people, or tell your date what you want. Tell them what you don't want. But remember, you're not Wonder Woman. You're not bulletproof. One of the problems with aggressive boys is that they can get violent when they are unhappy, when they're afraid, when they can't get what they want. We have something called a fight or flight response. And so aggressive boys, their natural tendency is to want to fight when they experience conflict. And if a boy, remember, he's incompetent, he is selfish, he is afraid, he's quite possibly going to smack you. And that's exactly the wrong thing to do. But this is what you have to be prepared for. So you want to avoid direct confrontation with an aggressive boy. You need to be able to stand up for yourself, but you also need to be pleasant and subtle. Find ways you can deal with this to avoid triggering a response like this from an aggressive boy. And if you can do this, you will help him grow up to be a more and more successful man in the future. Now, you can also date shy boys. Shy boys are a lot less likely to smack you in the face, but they lack self-confidence. They tend to be a little bit controlled by their fears, and so you need to learn to be patient. Often a shy boy won't even ask you out. Often you need to go directly and talk to that shy boy, give him an opportunity to ask you out, let him know that you're willing to say yes. So you need to learn to be patient, because shy boys are slow to get started. They are slow to make commitments. And again, you have to be careful. Don't challenge them directly. Instead of smacking you, they're likely to run away. They're likely to hide. They're likely to become passive or even passive-aggressive. So you want to stand up for yourself, but you don't want to challenge them too directly, because they're not going to respond very well. Remember, they're not mature yet. So don't expect them to deal with conflict in a very successful way. You've got to try to deal with them the way they are, not the way you want them to be. So learn on your own to become mature. Learn how to deal with a situation in a subtle way. Now, dealing with authority is very important. As a teenager, it seems like everybody has more authority than you do. Now, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm just going to do what I want. I don't care about people. I'm just going to rebel. But you know, your parents have invested a lot in you. They've given themselves to taking care of you, and they want what's best for you. Even if you don't always agree with it, even if you don't always like it, they're looking out for you all the time, and they want you to be successful. Once you get out on your own, nobody cares if you're successful. They only care about what you can do for them. So you need to respect your parents and consider becoming on the same team. Learn the rules that they want to have for your dating. Try to follow those rules. As you build up trust with them, as they trust you more, then they'll give you more and more freedom. In the same way, when you're dating, this guy's parents may not respect you. They may not like you that much. They may feel you're not good enough for their Prince Charming. Well, you just try and earn their trust. You do what they're looking for, and they'll give you more and more respect and more trust. It's difficult at times, but if you're patient and persistent, you can overcome most of these problems. Sometimes you're going to have to deal with the police. You're a teenager, you make mistakes, the people you're with make mistakes, and so you want to deal with the police in a very polite and professional manner. You want to do whatever they ask you to do without making a fuss, because they can ruin your whole day. They can put you in jail, and then you got to call your parents, and they got to call a lawyer, and let me tell you, you don't want to deal with that. So just follow whatever the police are doing, and get your date to follow the police too. You'll avoid a world of trouble at the small cost of a little bit of ego. Dealing with school is very important as a teenager. You need to deal with your friends and your enemies. Dating changes everything. People who were your friends suddenly feel kind of jealous. Maybe they were interested in that guy, or maybe they don't like that guy and they want to separate you two. And so sometimes your friends, they act more like your enemies, and you want to be able to keep your friends on your side, minimize your enemies. But just remember that dating changes all your relationships, and you need to be prepared for that. Likewise, you need to become a person who is successful at both schoolwork and your social life. If you devote yourself exclusively to dating, no matter how great this guy is, he's probably just another high school guy. He's not going to be with you through the rest of your life. Whereas your education can promote your success all your life. So if you can finish high school, go on to college, and continue on to a career, that is the best for you. So find a way that you can study together and be stronger together. And if you can't do that, then you need to respect that and study separately. Don't lose your academic life just so you can have that good feeling of the dating. This is part of growing up. Learn to do with what you need to do instead of what you want to do. So, if you will follow all of these steps, you can be successful as a teenage girl in the dating scene. Learn to accept that yes, the way things are. It's the good news and the bad news. Learn to respect your boundaries. Learn to deal wisely with aggressive boys. Learn to deal wisely with shy boys. Learn to deal with authority. They really are trying to do what's best for you, including your teachers. And make sure you don't neglect your school and your schoolwork. And this will lead to great success in the dating scene, as well as the rest of your life. So if you'd like to see more, you can click on my website at urbanedating.com. Thank you.